Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare. So settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning grind. It is so great to have you. It is another wonderful day here in the office. I got a slow start this morning. I feel like this whole past week has just been like one long day. I don't really distinguish between these days. Here we are again. So I was just kind of chilling this morning. Went through Twitter and saw what people were saying on Twitter. Was I intending to clip some of the material from the Dancy interview last night? So I've got to do, but I didn't get to it this morning. I just chilled. How are you doing? Vision's here. Good morning, Vision. Robert, good morning. Robert, I think that you let me know that one of the clips did have, from the dissertation analysis, did have unusually disastrous sound. And actually, my sound may be messed up right now. Just 1 second. We're fixing that. At least on my end. Yes. Thank you to everybody who was there last night. Thank you to everyone who was there. Robert says that was a fascinating live stream last night. I thought it was too. I thought that went well. I was trying to prepare as best as I possibly could for that, and I think that it went well, and I think we addressed important topics and got questions answered that needed to be. Yeah, thank you. I've been making some adjustments. I know the internet over here sometimes goes in and out because I'm in the country. So sometimes it goes in and out, but I've figured out how to make a few micro adjustments on this end as we still keep going. But hey, if it's an internet thing, then can't do it. Good morning, Al. Good morning. Thiago. Hi, welcome everybody. So good to see everybody. So this morning, everybody got their coffee. We're supposed to breathe. That'd be a good thing to do this morning. Everybody got your coffee or your drink of choice. Let's do a breath, deep inhale, complete exhale, and twice. It'll get us chill this morning, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. There. Okay, there we go. Yes. All right, so let's try this Pathfinder thing again. This is attempt number 2. I will say, by the way, that we're just going to do an hour today. We typically we only do an hour anyway. That's kind of the typical length of the show. We go longer. I would happily go longer because I really want to get into Pathfinder. But I've got an important lunch meeting that I've got to drive about an hour or two. So, and I got to prepare for as well. It's one thing that hasn't gone done. So we will end here at 10:30 Central Time so that I can get out of here and prepare for my meeting and get there. Okay, so yes. So we are trying attempt number 2 at looking at Pathfinder. Now, if you're just coming into this channel or this stream, this is not going to be from the beginning here because we did an unboxing of the Pathfinder box and went through the solo adventure and started looking around. I believe it was January 2nd, actually, before even all this got going. We were taking a look at the Pathfinder beginner box. So we have already unboxed that and taken a cursory look at it. And then yesterday, we had gotten into Pathfinder. This is the beginner box heroes handbook. So this is what was inside that box. And we had gotten into this and started looking at this for about 40 minutes yesterday when the Wizards breaking news broke. And then all of a sudden, so we cut into the live stream and went through all of that. And then I had to get ready for all of the live streaming last night that we did. So we are going to be kind of picking up where we left off here. So if you want to go back and watch those, if you like the way we're doing things here, the unboxing stream and then yesterday's stream, this is a continuation of that. And we were saying we were going to jump right into this core book because this is a massive core book here. But it does look like, and I think somebody just went by in the chat, or maybe that was on Twitter or something that was saying that you can play a lot of Pathfinder with just what's in the box set. And I really like that. We said that we thought, I didn't, let me bring up the auxiliary camera. We said that Pathfinder, Paizo was just blowing away. We said this long before this controversy has been going on. But we came to the conclusion, and I've long thought, that Paizo just blows away Wizards with regard to its starter sets. And so they called it a beginner's box, starter set, whatever. But yeah, it's a great box with a lot of stuff in it. The D&D box is very thin. We had that opinion even before all of this. And so you can play a lot just out of this. That's why we started looking at just the player's handbook inside here. And then we'll go to the core book. There's some things I want to look at. So we're just kind of going through here in a general order here. Character customization sounds crazy. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Piccadilly says, I just caught up with the last stream looking at the core book. Perfect timing. Excellent. Glad to have you here. Oh, is it sitting at Target? Oh, that's great. Robert says, I'm waiting to get paid so I can get the Pathfinder starter set from Target. I know that the Target box set for D&D was sitting there at Target, but I didn't know that Pathfinder was. Surely I noticed that. It could be. I'm sure. But, we were talking about that last night in general, that role-playing games probably are going to be difficult to read through. And it's difficult to teach yourself just from the book. So we're kind of going over it together. And it's great when there are people who are in the chat who know what we should look at or to make clarifications, because we do need more people. We need more people to be able to teach this game and all other games, because we've been going through a whole bunch of role-playing games on this channel anyway, that if we know how to play them, we can start teaching them at the table. Good coffee this morning. So I believe where we had left off yesterday, we had been talking about skills. We went through weapons yesterday, and we had started talking about skills. One thing that I don't know about, is the tags here. Now, each one of these different skills is tagged with something different, like learn a spell is concentrate and exploration. And we've kind of come up with an idea about what those things are, but I was looking for a definitive source on that, and I didn't see that in here. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to find it. And in fact, hey, let's see if it's like in an appendix here in the core book. Piccadilly says the core rule book is basically the D&D, PHB, and DMG as if it were one book, and that's why it's so chunky. Yeah, so there is also this over here. And I had bought these before all of this controversy, but there is also a bestiary. So I guess that's like your monster manual. But the core rule book is DMG and PHB in one, and then there is a bestiary that's separate. I changed up my shelf. My D&D books, you notice that on the other setups, my D&D books were right back there. I put a bunch of other publishers up there. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can find. So, like, manipulate. Manipulate's one of them. And we said manipulate is something that if you have to manipulate something and it's tagged with manipulate, then you can provoke an attack of opportunity, or you do provoke an attack of opportunity. It doesn't tell me. Oh, this is the glossary. So, okay, so manipulate, it says trait. You must physically manipulate an item or make gestures to use this action as a trait. Creatures without a suitable appendage can't perform actions with this trait. Manipulate actions also trigger reactions. But looks like maybe we need to look at an index about what traits are. So it's a trait. RST. Forgetting my alphabet. Trait. Okay, trait. A trait is a keyword that conveys information about a rule's element. Often, a trait indicates how other rules interact with an ability, creature, item, or other rules element with that trait. Individual traits appear by name in this index 13. Armor traits and weapon traits. But there are also skill traits, it looks like. Let's just look up. Where are skills? Because we were also looking at armor and weapons that were tagged with different things. See all the comments going in here. Based on reading about Pathfinder 2 and watching some videos, I assume this RPG is more lean than 5e. I guess it depends on what your meaning of lean is. It's definitely it's crunchier. It is crunchier. So, okay, skills. See, like identify alchemy. It says concentrate, exploration, and secret. So we need skill actions, secret checks. Oh, see, I'm looking for where it actually explains these things. Like decipher writing is concentrate, exploration, and secret. I guess we will find that. What those are called. I guess they are skill traits, but it was odd that it's had traits listed for weapons and armor, but not for skills. So we will come up with that. Passive resistance for me. Well, there's also been active resistance. There's been active resistance. Okay, so we looked at weapons. Okay, so we were looking at skills here. There are a lot of them. And we were also looking at treating wounds and there we go. Treating wounds and death. One thing that we were saying is that treat wounds, your medicine skill, treat wounds is one thing that you can do with the medicine skill. And we were saying that in 5th edition, the medicine skill is rather not useful. There isn't a whole lot you can do with medicine. But in this game, each individual skill, so here are the skills, and then here are the specific actions that you can take with that skill if you're untrained, and then with that skill if you are trained. And so there's a lot more that you can do with medicine, which I like. I often play clerics, so probably I would take that. Medicine, including treat wounds. You can recall knowledge, stabilize, staunch bleeding, and treat wounds. So, okay, so what we were trying to get to is playing the game. So we hadn't actually gotten to playing the game yet. And when we're analyzing RPGs on this channel, we've been trying to focus on, like, we're not going through character creation, at least not right now. But, like, what's going on with playing the game? How do you actually play this game? So this should explain this to us. So this is probably what we're going to focus on today. How do you actually play this game? Yes, Kevin Pierce says attacks of opportunity is a reaction. Manipulate says it can trigger reactions. That's okay. That is exactly what that situation is. And not every character can make an attack of opportunity. Those are just for martial classes or martial classes, like such as fighters, barbarians, and I believe paladins. So it's not something everybody can do. Everybody can't make an attack of opportunity. Everybody has a reaction. Everybody gets 3 actions on their turn and 1 reaction. And so a martial character, I may not be using, that may not be the exact term, but a martial character can make an attack of opportunity as their reaction if they haven't used it on that whole round, when something would trigger it, such as manipulating something. If something is somebody is manipulating something beside you, like casting spells, you can do that. You know, you can trigger your attack of opportunity. So yes, that is the way this goes. Those Vision says that those should be prerequisites, those things that we were looking at. Yeah, BGD says, I don't think lean applies to either incarnation of Pathfinder, and that's okay. It's just different, with a different philosophy, focus and philosophy of organization presentation than the Wizards of the Coast product. Yeah, I mean, this is... Well, yeah. With that core rule book, I don't think lean is one of those. Chapter 9 is playing the game in the core rulebook. Okay, let's go here with this intro here. Okay, so in playing the game, narrating actions. Pathfinder is about more than just numbers. You and your friends are cooperating to tell a story. As you prepare to use your actions, describe your character's attitude and what they want to get done. Talk about how to execute your attack or the flashy movement you just did to cast your spell. The GM can do the same for the monsters. You can narrate what you're doing up until you roll. Then the dice take over. Usually the GM tells you what happens as your attack goes wide or strikes true, or as your spell engulfs your enemies. Sometimes the GM might ask you to describe what happens. The dice determines the basics of what occurs, but the players contribute the details to make the story come to life. So rolling checks. This is D20 based. So if you like your D20s, we're sticking with our D20s. Smike Eye says reactions are free, but are almost always off a trigger, and that reactions don't have to be on your turn. Thank you, Smike Eye. So when your hero tries to do something, the outcome is uncertain. I'm sure that rolling the D20, I mean, a lot of we talk about a lot of different dice systems here, and I did a whole series of videos on different combinations of dice for resolving actions in RPGs. But hey, if a lot of people are coming over from D&D at their table, hey, people just may like rolling D20s. So here we are again. So those are checks. When your hero tries to do something, the outcome is uncertain. You will roll a check to see whether or not you succeed. Pathfinder has many types of checks, from skill checks to attack rolls to saving throws. but they all follow the basic steps explained below. Roll the d20, calculate your result, and compare that result to a target number called a difficulty class to determine whether you succeed or fail. All checks use the same formula. So here is our formula right here. D20 plus statistics plus bonus and penalties equals result. So that is our, I guess what we are calling our unified action resolution mechanic. Checks and DCs both come in many forms. When you swing a sword at a monster, you will make an attack roll, and its armor class is the DC. If you leap across a chasm, you'll attempt an athletics skill check with a DC based on how far you're trying to jump. When trying to remember information about ancient text, you'll roll for a skill check to recall knowledge with a skill and DC determined by the GM. Some of the most common checks and DCs. Weapons, spell attack, saving throw against a spell, perception check, stealth check. And then here's your statistic that's associated with it. That seems pretty standard here. The difficulty class, armor class, spell DC of caster. Okay, so step 1, roll. Start by rolling your d20. Pay attention to whether you've rolled a 20 or a 1 on the die because that does something special when you've determined success or failure. Now you calculate the result. Add the number you rolled to the d20 statistic you're using, such as your attack bonus or your stealth, and add any special bonus and penalties that apply. This total is your result. Bonus and penalties. Sometimes you'll have a bonus or a penalty to add to your roll to add to the statistics you're using. For instance, a spell might give you a bonus to an attack roll. Such a bonus might be labeled, such as a circumstance bonus, status bonus, or item bonus. This is pretty standard, I suppose. We probably all know about this. Labels. So this actually calls it a label. Penalties can have labels too, and they work the same way, except for the number is a negative. Okay, now this is new, actually. Such a bonus might be labeled. Oh, so labeled is important. So let's talk about this word labeled. So I'm glad we are looking at this. It says, such a bonus might be labeled, like a circumstance bonus, a status bonus, or item bonus. You can benefit only from the highest bonus with a given label. I guess I wasn't paying attention. So you may benefit from only the highest bonus with a given label. So this is different. For instance, if 2 spells are affecting you, each giving you a +1 bonus to attack roll, your total bonus would still be +1, not +2. This works the same way for multiple circumstances or item bonuses too. If you get a +1 status bonus and a +1 circumstance bonus to an attack roll, you add both. Penalties can have labels too, and they work the same way, except the number is negative. So, okay, that is important. So that's letting you know what stacks and what doesn't. We have 39 people here this morning. I believe this might be the most watched morning grind ever. Welcome, everybody. It's so good to have you here. We've been here basically every morning for the past 2 months when I started this, we've been very RPG heavy for the past 2 months, but we can talk about all kinds of topics in the Geekverse, but we are definitely RPG heavy for the past 2 months. We got some information here. Thank you so much for people who know more about this game who can come in and say things like this. Piccadiddy says, concentrate by itself doesn't do anything. It's just a tag, but other abilities make use of it. For example, a raging barbarian can't use any action with the concentrate trait. Good to know. Good to know. Recall knowledge is so good. So this is something that we were looking at yesterday as well, because my philosophy in gaming, my personal philosophy on this had been to move away from doing knowledge checks and using a different mechanic for whether or not you know something or not. But the knowledge check seems to be an integral and mechanical part of the Pathfinder system, as J0 or Joe, did that change up? As Joe was saying, I believe yesterday, we had this comment come up yesterday. So the knowledge checks actually have a mechanical component to this game. And is intended to be something, appears to be intended to something that like wizards and knowledgeable people can do, or the academic type characters can do to help them out. Okay, so Grimhill, this is exactly the situation. This is exactly what I was talking about when I went through all of the dice probabilities in that series of videos that I did over the summer. They're here on the channel if you want to go through them, because this is exactly my situation. In fact, of course, I'm already thinking about how I could modify Pathfinder, which we might want to do. But first of all, I want to learn how to play it stock. But, that's one of the things that in the Paizo statement about the orc, that I love so much. They're like, we put the OGL in there so other people can use our stuff. So once we learn how to play, we can start manipulating it too. Because now, but as a game playing philosophy, what Grimhild is saying right here, one thing I really don't like is when all the result of a wide range flat probability random generator, aka the D20, is more important than skill, ability, and etc. Yes, I agree. And that's exactly the problem that I was trying to solve by changing up the mechanics. And if you want to know how I'm changing that up, we are building an RPG system on this channel. That we do that on Tuesdays. Tuesdays is our RPG building day. And the RPG we're building is called Fated Edge, if you want to look that up. So Tuesdays here on the Morning Grind, if you look at Fated Edge, we've done about 4 sessions on that design. And I'm trying to specifically handle that problem. I've been working on my action resolution mechanic specifically to handle that problem. And I'm wondering if we could change up Pathfinder using some of that same kind of systems that we were talking about when we're building Fated Edge to save that problem. But first, I want to understand Pathfinder rules as written. But hey, there's so many RPG projects to do, right? There's so many RPG projects to do. So vision, no stacking. Stacking, right? Yeah, I agree. I've been trying to solve that problem. I completely agree. Maybe we can solve it. Maybe we can try. Maybe we can solve it. I think I've solved it. I think I have the mechanic, but that's for the RPG that I'm designing. But maybe it could be applied over here. We will see. Robert says, this is really useful to me as I've never played this game, but I have a lot of reading to do. Yeah, so do I. So that's why I thought, hey, maybe people can listen while they're having breakfast or something else. No, that's something I deal with too. And I'm thinking about in terms of this. But this is important right here. So anything without a label is cumulative. For example, the penalty for making multiple attacks in a round with the penalty for attacking at long range with a ranged weapon do not have labels. So both would apply to attack that wasn't your first of the round and was made at long range. Okay, so that was important. The idea of labeling your stats or your bonus and penalties was important. Step 3, determine success. Often it's important to determine not only how you succeed or fail, but also how spectacularly you succeed or fail. Exceptional results can cause you to critically succeed or critically fail. Now, okay, well, critical success, we've been talking also a little bit about degrees of success here on this channel as we have been going through RPGs. And sometimes that we tended to like that, I think, but that presents some problems sometimes at the table trying to adjudicate what exactly is a partial success. But this is telling me right here that we've got critical success, success, and failure, and critical failure. So these might be easy to adjudicate. So often it's important to determine not only if you succeed or fail, but how. Oh, I just read that. So critical success. A critical success is you exceed the DC by 10 or more. Success is you meet or exceed the DC. Failure, you result in is lower than the DC. Critical failure, your result is lower than the DC by 10. So this doesn't say anything specifically about 10s and 20s, because 1s and 20s. We're about to get to that section, but we're defining critical success and critical failure by beating it by 10 or more or not. And I do like that. That's something that's much more similar, or is something that is kind of like what GURPS has, and I played a lot of GURPS. I like the critical failures and successes being determined by the DC. That makes a lot of sense to me. Recall knowledge is like, I want to roll for metagame. GM, okay, you now know the enemy has this special ability. Could be. They see, there's a lot that we can talk about the philosophy of knowledge checks, but I want to understand how it's implemented mechanically in this game, because it seems like it's an important part of this game. But it's not that you could have a skill in a particular knowledge that allows you to know something, like the enemy does have a special ability, because maybe you've researched that kind of monster. That's not what's bothering me. What bothers me is the rolling for it, for also reasons like Grimhild brought up. So we're just going to see how it works. Vision says, I was looking over the customization with backgrounds. Makes me want to make a smart champion with investigator background. Make him an inquisitor. Yeah, we do have there is a place to talk about Fated Edge. But really, most of the Fated Edge material is the live streams here on Morning Grind at the moment. But yeah, I guess I should post that link, because yeah, there is They're places to talk about the RPG and the worlds we're building on the Discord server, in the Ravenkeep Discord server. And I would absolutely love to have everybody in the Ravenkeep Discord server. I just posted the link. It's a good time. Trying to make it a very positive. I'm trying to make this channel and Ravenkeep in general a very positive place in the Geekverse. Like positive and constructive. So the action you're using tells you what happens depending on how well you rolled. For instance, if you attacked with a strike, you deal double damage on a critical success, the normal amount of damage on the success, and no damage at all on the failure and the critical failure. If an action doesn't say anything special happens on a critical failure has the same result as a regular failure. For a strike, a critical failure is no different from a regular failure. Likewise, if an action doesn't say something special happens on a critical success, it has the same effect as a success. All right, but we do want to take note of 1s and 20s. So 1s and 20s, here we go. Rolling the highest number or lowest number on a D20 has some special rules. If you roll a 20, so we can still shout out Nat 20 and be excited about it. If you roll a 20 on the D20, use a result one step better than what you'd normally get based on your roll. This changes a critical failure into a failure to a success, and a success into a critical success. Usually this means you critically succeed. Ah, interesting. Okay, so it makes it one step better. So am I right here in saying that would mean that 20 doesn't necessarily automatically hit a critical failure, a critical success, because you would still need to have succeeded. If a 20 would succeed, then it turns it into a critical success. You could still have critical success without rolling a 20, because if your DC, I'm just talking through this to make sure I understand. If your DC is 7, that'd be very low. I think. It seems like. And then you roll, we'll just say you don't have any kind of modifier. But if your DC you're trying to hit is 7 and you roll a 17, you beat that by 10, so you get a critical success. But if your DC would be 16 and you roll a 20, you have succeeded. But because it's a 20, that becomes a critical success. I think that's what we're doing here. If you roll a 1 on a D20, do the opposite and use one step worse. This changes a critical success into a success into a failure, and a failure into a critical failure. Usually this means you crit fail. So I like that it extends that. See, I did too. I slept in. I didn't get up. I was hoping to get up and do work and start clipping things, but yep, we've been chill. It's been a chill morning, late to get started. So that's what I think. I think that sounds pretty good. Joe says there is a skill feat called Assurance that allows you to do a proficiency check with no roll, just 10 plus proficiency. Hey, yeah, we do. The Nose Plays and I have been, things have been crazy around here over the past week. But yes, we do. The Nose Plays and I have been trying to run down that kind of system as well. The Vision says, got to start calling critical fails to fumbles. Yeah, I like the fumble too, especially with an attack roll. I guess it could apply to other things as well. The Nose Plays. The observation of stair-stepping using advantage really does match the expectation of what happens when someone is more proficient. Yes, I think so. Oh, you like the name Faded Edge? I've got specific reasons to be using that, but it has to do with RPG systems, but that's cool. Okay, so I accidentally shut my book. Okay, so we were just on that. So saving throws. Saving throws or saves are checks that let you shrug off harmful effects, such as those of enemy spells. An ability that lets you attempt to save says so in the text. These checks are automatic. You don't need to use a reaction to attempt one. You know, I need to go back to my notes on D&D 5th edition, because when we were trying to or thinking about what type of system we should use in order to do the Journey to the Tree of Sorrows RPG that I wrote but has not been published, we were trying to think of different systems to use, and ultimately we did decide to go with 5e. What this kind of situation with the OGL, how that impacts that, I don't know. So, but that aside, I did take notes on 5e that I said these are the kinds of things that I don't like about 5e and I think should change. So it would be interesting to reevaluate those notes in the context of Pathfinder 2nd edition, see what they do and do differently, and if they do any of those things, and if they don't, how they could still be addressed. That's something interesting to do. Okay, basic saving throws. Some spells and other effects that deal damage ask you to roll a basic saving throw. You roll a basic saving throw like any other save, but you'll use the following outcomes to determine how much damage you take. Critical success, you take no damage. Success, you take half the listed damage. Failure, you take the full damage. Critical failure, you take double the damage. Critical failure, you basically walk into it, right? Calculating DCs. For many creatures, you'll compare your result to another creature's DC. With strikes, the DC of the attack roll is your target's armor class, AC. Sometimes an enemy check uses your DC. Like comparing the result of an intimidation check to demoralize you to your will DC. If you need a DC to determine that's normally a statistic, if you need a DC for something that's normally a statistic, such as a will DC, just add 10 to the statistic to get the DC. Okay, so adding 10. So if you need a DC for something that's normally a statistic, add 10 to your bonus. So a will of +5 gets a will DC of 15. I'm seeing this all over the place. I didn't realize that a Pathfinder did this, but I'm seeing this in other games, and it was kind of a conclusion that I came to as well when I was working on Fated Edge as well, that, well, you need basically a resistance, an armor class for each statistic in order to tell you how good you are at resisting the effects of something that influences you using that statistic. So it makes sense to have like an armor class or resistance or something like that for each stat. Now, it's a little bit different the way I was thinking about it, but this is very straightforward here in Pathfinder, that if you need a DC, you're not doing opposed checks in this instance, it seems like, but you can immediately calculate the DC that the monster or whatever needs to use based on your statistic. Vision says, oh my God, that drink next to a laptop. I'm cringing at the possibilities. Speaking, oh, well, I've destroyed, that's some stories. I've destroyed 2 laptops with drinks going into it, but I got it sitting over here. The iPad is actually up off of the table, and I'm actually not on a laptop, I'm on a desktop. So actually I should probably lift that off the table as well, just in case. Yes, 43. I saw 45 go by. So yes, a lot of interest. So that is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everybody. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I'd love to have you. And hit the like button. I'm supposed to say those things, and I always forget. So, okay, so exploration. So that's our basic understanding how to play. So that seems like our core resolution mechanic here. So let's get into exploration. And exploration, we've been very also core resolution mechanic focused here on the channel when we've been looking at different RPGs. But exploration is its own topic, and I want to look at go back through a lot of the RPGs that we've gone through and specifically look at exploration, because I think that's important and how that is handled. But we're focused on Pathfinder, so let's just go right into exploration. As heroes move from place to place, exploring a dungeon, wilderness, a city, the game is flexible. If a fight breaks out during the exploration, your game turns into an encounter, which follows a more specific set of rules explained in page 63. Exploration involves movement and role-playing, and the GM determines the flow of time based on what the heroes do. Your hero might be traveling from one town to another, chatting with a couple of merchants at an outpost along the way, or having a terse conversation with the watchful city guard at your destination. If the GM needs to track how long travel takes, they use this table. The party travels at the speed of its slowest member. So hero speed, 20 feet. 20 feet is your speed, I suppose, an encounter. You move 2 miles per hour. You can move 16 miles a day. 25, 2.5 miles an hour, 20 miles a day. 30 feet, 3 miles an hour, 24 miles a day. I have not been doing the afternoon adventure the past 2 weeks. Past week because of all this. But, I had been hiking with an adventurer's backpack almost every day for like 2 months. And I was going at a rate of 3 miles an hour. So that means that according to Pathfinder, with a fully loaded adventurer's backpack on, I have a speed of 30 feet. And I should be able to do 24 miles in a day. I haven't tried to do 24 miles in a day. But now we know. Starting to get my Pathfinder statistics down. Oh, we do have special rules for checks. Okay, so this goes back to checks. So let's check out this. So some checks follow special rules. Flat checks. When something's based purely on chance, you'll attempt a flat check. A flat check never includes any modifiers, bonuses, or penalties. You just roll a d20 and compare the result on the die to the DC. Secret checks. The secret trait appears on anything that uses secret checks. You use the normal formula for the check, but the GM rolls the d20 in secret. Instead of revealing the result, the GM simply describes the information or effect determined by the check's result. Didn't we say something was secret? Oh, yeah, so sneak. So looking over here, sneak, for instance, is tagged with this secret trait right here. I mean, I guess these are skill traits. That's what I'm going to call them until I have another name for them. But so sneak is tagged secret. So that's the GM. At the end of your movement, the GM rolls your stealth check in secret and compares the result of the perception DC of each creature that couldn't see you but knew where you were at the start of your movement. So that is a secret one. Do we see any other secret things in here real quick? A lie. Okay, there's a lie skill here. It says you try to fool someone with an untruth. That is tagged secret. Gather information over here is tagged secret. You canvass local markets, taverns, and gathering places in an attempt to learn about the specific individual or topic. That's tagged secret. Okay, so the game is telling you when the GM rolls. Just bought the Pathfinder 2 core books, and it's worth it. I wish I had gotten into it before. Now, of course, you got to have people to play with, but as far as learning it, I wish I had gotten into it before now. So, okay, so the game actually tells you when the GM should roll specifically. Helping someone. You can aid someone when attempting a skill check or an attack roll to potentially give them a bonus. This requires preparing to help them, usually by spending an action or more on your turn, and then using a reaction when they attempt their skill check or an attack roll. When you use your reaction, attempt a skill check or an attack roll, usually the same type of roll as the one you're trying to help. Okay, by spending an action or more on your turn, then using a reaction. So, okay, so in order to help them, sometimes I get reading and I'm not paying attention to what's going on with the string. So this requires preparing to help them, usually by spending an action or more on your turn. So you're preparing to help. Then your reaction also has to be available. And when they attempt their skill check or attack roll, when you use your reaction, attempt a skill check or an attack roll, usually at the same type of roll as the one you're trying to help. The DC is usually 20, but the GM might make it higher in tricky situations. You give your ally a +2 circumstance bonus on a critical success, a +1 circumstance bonus on a success, or nothing on a failure, and -1 circumstance penalty on a critical failure. I'll have to think about those helping someone rules. Because, helping someone aid multiple characters on a check, that seems difficult to me. It seems very difficult to help somebody. I have to see how it actually plays, but that seems kind of difficult. The DC check is 20 in order to help somebody, and you're only giving them a +1 bonus on a success, so a +1 bonus on a 20-sided die. We'll see how that works. Anything that has the attack trait follows some special rules. Read about attacks on page 66. Hey, Charlie. Charlie Gardner is here. Hi, Charlie. Just got started into Pathfinder 2. This is great. Subscribed last night. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we get it. I want to look at trying to organize some online stuff, but with everything going on, I have not been able to do that. But there is a place for looking for games in the Ravenkeep Discord server so you can use that to organize. I don't have any kind of specific Ravenkeep way of doing online games, but if there are people here who want to try something out, you can use the looking for games place to check that out. Okay, so we were talking, or to try to organize. That would be great. You're welcome to. Exploration activities. While traveling and exploring, you'll tell the GM what your hero does along the way. If all you want to do is make steady progress towards your destination, I guess I should post that link again. I haven't decided to make the Ravenkeep Discord server link public, like permanent and public yet. That's what people ask me. Why do you always post it or have to post it? You always call it out. Why not just post it? And the answer is because I've been giving it to people who are here on the live streams and stuff like that. It may come a time to make that open more publicly and permanent, but I haven't been using permanent links. I've just been making temporary links and giving it to the people in the live stream so that if you're here, you can get access. We'll just subject to change as we go. But okay, exploration activities. While exploring and traveling, you tell the GM what your hero does along the way. If all you want to do is make steady progress towards your destination, your hero will move at the appropriate travel speed from the table on page 61. Well, we got information on that +1. The good thing about aid is the DC never raises, so the stronger your characters get, the easier it is for them to help one another. So great insight here. Piccadilly says +1s are very impactful, but yeah, general consensus I've seen is that aid should have used a DC by level table. But Joe says a +1 is very powerful in Pathfinder 2 because it increases your chances for a crit a lot, the way the fighter is a crit machine. The way the fighter is a crit machine, expert proficiency +2. All right. Thank you very much for that insight. That's why it's important to go, okay, what was my initial reaction, but what are other people saying about that, and then how does it actually play? So thank you very much for the insight on aid. So if you want to do something in addition to simply traveling, you describe the basics of what you're attempting to do, such as I'm searching for hazards or I'm keeping my shield ready in case we're attacked. The GM finds the best exploration activity to match your description and describes the effects of that activity. Some exploration limits how fast you can travel and to be effective. The following activities have the exploration trait. Any other trait, is trait a better word than aspect? Fate uses the term aspect. I think I would have understood trait better. At least when I'm talking about intuitively when I was reading through the first time with Fate. The following activities use the exploration trait. Any other traits that are listed in parentheses after the activity's name. You can find more exploration activities in skills, page 5. So avoid notice, moving at half your travel speed and attempt a stealth check to avoid anyone noticing you as you travel. If you're avoiding notice at the start of a counter, you roll a stealth check instead of a perception check to determine your initiative. You'll also compare the result of stealth checks to the enemy's perception DC like you would for the sneak action to determine if they notice you. I'm getting increasingly excited about this as we go through. I really am. I enjoy both crunchy gaming and more narrative style gaming. I enjoy both. We cover both on the channel. I've played GURPS, which is very crunchy. This is kind of... So in some sense, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition kind of set in a nexus there. It's not crunchy, as crunchy as like this is, but it's also not really a narrative style. I mean, you can definitely play narrative in Theater of the Mind. I mean, lots of people do, but it's also not kind of really set up that way in the way that other games are set up, like Fate, for instance. So this is definitely on the crunchy side. I found it's kind of difficult to do both. My play style, I'm either in one zone or I'm in another. But when I'm looking for the crunch, this is seeming pretty good. So defend. Move at half your travel speed with your shield raised. If combat breaks out, you have the +2 circumstance bonus to your AC from raising the shield until your first turn begins. Okay, and we talked about that a lot. And I did a whole video specifically on the shield and how you have to actively use your shield in this game. Detect magic, that's a concentrate maneuver or concentrate tagged concentrate. You must have the detect concentrate maneuver. That kind of came back from MERP. My mind reached back to MERP, that moving maneuvers and static maneuvers. So that was a MERP reference that my mind connected there. So detect magic. You must have the detect magic cantrip prepared to choose this activity. You cast detect magic at regular intervals. You move at half your normal travel speed. Hustle, move. You strain yourself to move at double your travel speed. You can hustle for only a limited amount of time. Multiply your constitution modifier by 10 to find how many minutes you can hustle. If you're in a group that's hustling, use the lowest constitution modifier among everyone to determine how fast the group can hustle together. Investigate. Concentrate. Secret. You move at half your speed to use the recall knowledge to discover clues among the various things you see as you journey along. You can investigate using any skill that has a recall knowledge action, but the GM determines whether the skill is relevant to the clues you could find. Scout. You scout outside the group, moving at half speed while looking for danger. At the start of the next encounter, everyone in your party gains a +1 circumstance bonus to their initiative roll. We'll have to see how initiative's done. We've talked a lot about initiative here on the channel, and I've got more to say about it. Search, concentrate. Moving at half speed, you sneak meticulously. If you come across a secret door, item, or hazard while searching, the GM attempts a secret check to seek out what you notice. If you notice the hidden object or hazard in locations with many objects to search, you have to stop and spend significantly longer to search thoroughly. And we've talked about how, or at least how I think, that time is an underused resource in role-playing games, and that time should be a bigger deal. So we'll have to see how exactly time, if this game has mechanics for time, but if not, we should come up with ways to incorporate time. I think time in tabletop games and time in the RPG, and we're talking about in-universe time, is something that we really need to pay more attention to add drama, and put the characters on a clock. Vision 667 says combat looks fun, flanking and all that. Actually having to move around the battlefield to gain an upper hand. Pedro says it's too relevant now. Not too relevant now, but concentrate in Pathfinder 2 is not the same thing as concentration in 5e. It works differently. Well, we did have concentrate. Let's go over here to the index, or to the glossary here, which I love. The index in 5e is terrible. Finding stuff in 5e, so this looks like it's much easier. I've got so many notes in my PHB that I was playing out of because it was not real organized. So let's take a look at, and I thought that for a long time before all this. Okay, so concentrate. Watch it not be here. Oh, concentration. Trait. A consecration. That's consecration. Oh, concentrate. It's up here. It is up here. Sorry. An action with this trait requires a degree of mental concentration and discipline. Okay, well, actually, that doesn't tell us a whole lot. Oh, Robert says, I just got a mental image of a bunch of characters dancing the hustle. That's probably going to stick with me now, too. I know if try Discord groups or look on forums, there are games that are all text as well. They're out there. Yeah, that's probably going to be a network that's springing up. Do the hustle. Right. Okay. That's in my mind now. Sense direction. Secret. Using a compass or environmental clues, you orient yourself in the wild. See the survival skill on page 59. Track. You look for characters' tracks that you can follow them. See the survival skill on page 59. Okay, rest and daily preparations. Once every 24 hours, you can spend a period of rest, typically 8 hours. When your rest ends, you regain hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. Okay, so we can regain hit points due to rest in this, but it's not necessarily a lot. At the end of your day, you get hit points back equal to your Constitution modifier, or 1 if your Constitution modifier is 0. If you're higher than first level, multiply the HP you regain by level. Okay, now I've talked a lot about hit points on this channel as well. I got dedicated videos about hit points and how I think they should be tracked and things like that, and the potential problems with hit points. As sort of a recap summary. It's not like people haven't talked about the problem with hit points in general, but this is one of them. Inflationary hit points are a deal to me, so it looks like we're probably going to have inflationary hit points in this game system, but here we're dealing with some degree of inflation, or trying to make that inflation, it appears, work with an inflationary hit point system by level, by saying that you regain hit points times you regain hit points equal to Constitution modifier times level. Okay. After you rest, you spend 1 hour to make your daily preparations. Daily preparations include the following: don armor and equip weapons and other items. If you're a cleric or wizard, regain your spell slots and choose the spells you prepare for the day. Reset any abilities you have that refresh during your preparations, or that can be used only a certain number of times per day. Light and darkness. Oh, we got another MERP fan. MERP was my very first RPG. That's the first one that I ever got. I did videos on MERP before I was live streaming. I got some videos on MERP here on the channel, where I went through MERP. MERP, if you want to blast in the past, if you're not familiar with it and you want to see some retro gaming, I went through the MERP book. That's the Middle Earth role-playing book. It's Middle Earth role-playing, if you don't know what MERP is. It's the Middle Earth role-playing game. It's put out by Iron Crown Enterprises. If you want to look at some old school gaming in Middle Earth and all the discussion surrounding it, check out MERP. And there are videos on the channel. There are some conditions, David Sims says, that prevent concentrate actions, rage, for instance. Thank you, David. And hey, UFO man, good to see you. And Guitar Guy Nick. Hey, Guitar Guy Nick. Good to see you. So light and darkness. How much time have we got? Oh, we're closing. How much we got here? Because like I said, I do have a lunch meeting that I have got to prepare for and take. Let's keep going for a little while. Light and darkness. There are 3 levels of light: bright light, dim light, and darkness. The game's rules assume that you're in bright light, so most of the time you don't have to worry about special rules. Areas of shadow or lit by weak light sources are in dim light. Creatures and objects in dim light have the concealed condition, meaning that any attack or other effect that would target them fails unless the creature is trying to target them with a DC 5 flat check, rolling a 5 or higher on a D20 without adding anything. That's kind of, I guess, like a wild swing or something like that. Because flat checks, it said, were used for just random chance. So that's saying that if you are in dim light, you have the concealed condition. That meaning you cannot target them unless you kind of like flail around, I guess. A creature with dark vision or low light vision can see in the dim light and target creatures in it normally. Areas without any light are in darkness. A creature or object in darkness cannot be seen unless the creature looking for it has dark vision. A creature without dark vision or another means of perceiving in darkness is blinded while in darkness, although it might be able to see illuminated areas beyond the darkness. While you're blinded, all terrain is difficult terrain. I like that. And you take -4 penalty to perception checks that rely only on sight. If you try to attack or affect a target that you can't see due to darkness or for any other reason, you fail unless you succeed a DC 11 flat check. Now we are getting into encounters. Taking your turn. Basic actions right here. Range pen. Okay, encounters are a big topic. I tell you what, why don't we hold encounters until next time? Maybe Monday. Tomorrow, tomorrow, traditionally on Sundays is potpourri. We do a potpourri day on Sundays for topics that probably aren't going to take an entire hour. So we can just address those. So on Sunday, tomorrow, I've got manufacturer samples in of the Terra Tiles terrain system that I'm re-releasing. Actually, I should probably put that in here. And I've got the manufacturer samples, and I've got to look at them. So we can go over and review the manufacturer samples. We get to look at board game stuff, manufacturer samples of board game stuff. I have the Terra Tiles are the system that my brother and I created a long time ago. And I'm re-releasing them. Look at ravenkeep.net, and you can see, why did my browser not connect the way that I wanted to? Just go right here. Okay, so this is Ravenkeep is the place that I set everything up for what we are making here. So tomorrow I've got 2 different, so we can look at that tomorrow. I've got to do that. So we'll do that live on stream so I can give permission for the manufacturer to start creating them. And then I have another game over here. It's short. Let me grab it. Whoa. I lost the auxiliary camera. No damage. But I've got another game here that's done by a friend of mine, Brian Colin. You may know him. I did interview him on the channel. You may have seen him around. He does the Vast Grim game, but he also recently did this one, Over the Bridge. And it says that play trolls, cross bridges, find treasure, protect the magic city from the lava below. And so I think this is a lightweight RPG that's intended to be played, fantasy RPG that's intended to be played with, like that he designed to play with his kids and things like that. So obviously this is not going to take an entire session, hour to go through. So tomorrow on Potpourri Sunday, we'll probably take a look at this and we will review manufacturer samples of the Terra Tiles terrain system. And then maybe Monday we'll get back to Pathfinder. Typically, I've been going through different RPGs every day, but I want to stick on Pathfinder for a little while longer and spend some more time on it because I want to know how to play it. And I'm interested in digging into it. So that's probably what we'll end up doing. Vision says, please hit the like button. Yes, please do. This has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed this. You guys, like I always say this, but you guys give me energy. This is what makes me get up in the morning, try to get working. I'm supposed to be here on the morning grind with everybody hanging out. And I do really appreciate it. But, all right, I've got to prepare for a meeting and travel. So hopefully the world doesn't burn down in the tabletop gaming industry here on Saturday. So I've also got to do some core creative time and get to writing and stuff like that. But I will see you here in YouTube comments and on the Ravenkeep Discord probably later this afternoon when I get back. Bye, everybody.